Stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was watching Congress.
Okay. Sandy, roll call.
Councilmember Stacy Green.
Present.
Councilmember Bob Hall.
Here.
Councilmember Ken Palvini.
Here.
Councilmember Susan Tabulero.
Here.
Mayor Kim Green.
Here. Okay, non-agenda public comment. So this is the time for the public to speak on matters that are not on the agenda.
Jim Striegel, 2601 North Old Stage Road. Happy New Year, Council. Haven't seen you since last year. Stacy, good to see you back on your feet. Been praying hard for you and
Bless your heart.
your good health. Just here to remind you, maybe when you were kids back in school, one of my highlights was field trips. I always loved to go on a field trip, hop in the bus and go someplace exciting. I'd like to invite you guys on a field trip. My property is a half a mile from here up on the hilltop. We've been doing extensive work on the future home of the, officially the Abner Weed Memorial Amphitheater, otherwise known as the Weed Amphitheater, and the Mount Shasta Center for Spiritual Studies and Transcendental Enlightenment. Been up there with the chainsaw crews, with bulldozers, with excavators, sculpting the land. Tim was kind enough to make time out of his schedule to come take a look. He's seen it. I had Richard Dunges come up take a look. And Mr. Young from the ski park from the Small Business Development Council came up, took a look. I'd love to have you guys take a look, and because what I'm proposing is annexation into the city limits of the back half of my property. For some reason, the front, from the highway back, the first 15 acres is in the city limits. The back 25 is in the county. And I'd like to be able to incorporate the whole thing into one piece so we could only have to deal with city planning. And I would love these, one of my main objectives with these projects is to provide employment projects, a steady tax base for the city, cultural events, and just have a lot of fun. If you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. And this could be a profitable enterprise for the city, for the employees, for the partners that are going to be coming in, and for everything else. It's a spectacular view. Once you see it firsthand, I've sent you guys emails with, I had a drone photographer come up there this Monday, took some beautiful pictures of it. But being there, especially right now, we got 2 weeks of sunny weather, seeing that view and seeing the work we've done, the sculpting and everything, puts it all in perspective. It'll be a legacy we can leave for our kids, grandkids, and beyond for the town. I'd love to try and let the college have access to it in the off-season after the concerts are done in September. There's a lot of potential for weddings, for events, conventions, everything. So I'm all in. I'm maxed out on my credit cards. I took out loans I couldn't afford. And it's, when you stand there and you see this, especially on the amphitheater, the whole hillside sculpted and layered, terraced, the trees, it's a lot of fun. So I'd like to invite you guys, either collectively or individually, to come on up, take a look. It's the whole tour is like 45 minutes, you're in and out. And if nothing else, just to see the view from the summit up there, overlooking the weed, and you can survey the domain that you guys represent. And you can see everything from up there. It's a 360-degree view. You can see all the way to Wairika, to the mountains of Oregon. Okay, well, thank you guys. Wishing you guys a 2022 full of peace.
Did you have a question?
I have a question.
Just to clarify, the Brown Act doesn't really allow us to have a back and forth conversation about
question's to the
items
staff.
not on the agenda.
I just wanted a phone number in case, I don't think all of us are gonna get together, but if I wanted that, what's your phone number?
471 3423.
After.
Three,
And
four,
I just sent you an email within the last half hour. It's got my phone number on it and the links to the YouTube videos that were shot on Monday.
That's what I'm trying to.
okay.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jimmy. I'm good.
Hey, thank you guys very much for everything you guys do.
Thank you.
That's
Okay.
why, because why is it, why,
Not on the agenda.
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening, council. Richard Dengist with the Dunsmuir Weed Chamber of Commerce. Old habits are hard to break. I just want to thank city staff for helping us with the old-fashioned Christmas this year. We did get a Christmas tree up into Heritage Park. We got it lit up, and we did it all in about 3 days, and I thought that was a pretty good feat for us for having just short notice. We had a pretty good turnout. We had about 35 to 50 people in the plaza at one time, so that was pretty good. Too bad we all can't sing better, but it did turn out pretty well. In the past month or so, we've had about 45 people into the chamber, which is, at the end of the year, we had about 975 people total throughout the year. So it wasn't too bad, not as good as we should have had, but if it would have been a regular year, we probably would have doubled that number. But the chamber now is going to be open from 9:30 until 4 o'clock Wednesday through Friday for as long as we can make it happen. So that's kind of what, I've been cut back in the hours, so we're doing the best we can with what we've got. So just kind of bring you up to date. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard.
Hello. Happy New Year, council, city staff. Just wanted, sorry, I do have a new, Raymond Strike 4605 Hilltop Lane, which is the hill above Carrick, if you're unfamiliar. It's very nice. We're very happy with it. It's a big change from Hammond, a lot less snow. Given that it is 1 year from when we finalized the development agreement with the city, City Manager Rundle thought it would be appropriate for me to come and give you just a brief update of kind of the major points of how we spent the last year and what we're doing moving forward. So obviously, as I mentioned, in January was the final ratification. February and March was the data collection for the initial submittal to Ascent Environmental. And by that, I physically mean where we cleared all that brush so that we could get an accurate drainage survey and submit that to the environmental firm. We then were on standby for April and May. In the context of that was that there was communication happening between City Planning Department and Ascent Environmental. And at the end of May, early June is when we kind of had to pivot and change the order of operations in terms of the document submittals as per City Attorney Reed's advice. And so in June, we kind of pivoted. We as a company had interviewed well over a dozen design build firms to do site design, but we had not at that time engaged one. And so we revisited those contacts and in, I guess it was right around the end of August, engaged a worldwide controlled environment agriculture design build firm. They've been around for 30 plus years. They've got millions and millions and millions of square foot under their belt in controlled environment agriculture outside of cannabis. So things like microgreens or cut flowers, any sort of agriculture that happens in a greenhouse, and also have very extensive background in cannabis cultivation. So we engaged that firm throughout September and October. We've been drafting our site plan in coordination with our local civil engineer, Nicholas Riddle from Mount Shasta Engineering, who's been working with City Public Works Department and making sure that all of our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed for what I hope is the actual rezone submittal, which is now the first set of submittals as opposed to what we were operating on in February and March. It was going to be in different order, but we are now fairly happy with the site plan. It is not fully out to building permit specs. It's more of the actual master development plan that's contemplated as part of the planned unit development rezone. And so I look forward to formalizing that submittal as soon as humanly possible. And that's pretty much it. Been hard at work on it. You know, we definitely lost a fair few months there with the posit, but the good news is that the work we did in February and March for that, what we thought was going to be that first submittal, that work is still applicable down the line. We don't have to go back and redo it, but, you know, it did cost us a couple of months there, so that's all. So with that, thank you all. You all know how to get a hold of me if you need anything. Have a great meeting.
think that's it. Council member announcements. Ken, you want to start?
Sure, I can start, but actually been a very bland month. Actually, the only thing I really attended regarding with city business was the C2C committee. Just to report that we have initiated a 5-year plan for C2C to upgrade our operating plan. We'll be getting this done with funding from the Ford Foundation. So that's the end of that report.
Thank you. Ms. Tavallaro?
Me? So I missed the transportation board meeting on Tuesday afternoon because I didn't fly in soon enough. And I'm now the chairperson. That's what happens when you miss the meeting for the next year. And we meet monthly, and we're still working on the same things. They're still working on the stage. Did you attend the meeting? You did, Chris? Oh, good. Okay. You don't have to report. And
You'll have your chance.
the C2C that he sits on the board last night, 3 of us attended the local League of Agency dinner. Oh, I'm sorry, 5 of us, because Brandy and Tim went, and the 3 of us. And they spoke last night. Grace and Rennie spoke last night. And it's at the Collier Rest area, and it's not a part of the state of California. It's, we in Siskiyou County support that. And what they are looking for is volunteers, because they only have one paid person that doesn't do, that they do more of the book stuff, don't they? The paid person. So the volunteers, though, are people that would be there at the rest stop, and when people stop at the rest stop, they want to know about Siskiyou County, you can tell them about lots of different places. One of the things that he mentioned a couple times is we really try to tell the people where they should not be going, and especially in this type of weather, which I thought, oh yeah, that's a big thing. So if anybody out there would like to be a volunteer up there at the rest stop, it's not the rest stop, at the, what do you call it?
Interpretive
Like a
Center.
kiosk, interpretive. You could call Ken, because he's on that committee.
Yeah, that's fine. 859-2661, always looking for gullible people. It didn't come out too loud, did it?
And she mentioned in table talk that there's no weed city representation there anymore.
Oh, there's not any volunteers from here?
No, there's no information. If they have a pamphlet of information that's not there anymore.
That could go to Richard probably
Yeah.
when he gets there later.
Okay, and that's it for me.
Okay. Bob?
Not much, Ms. Mayor, but I'd like to remind everybody, next Thursday at 7 o'clock, here on the 20th, we're going to be having a meeting, I labeled it Cultural Inventory, and I just want to reiterate a little bit on why I think it's necessary. One of the main points is that, and it's kind of a delicate situation to talk about it, but what weed is suffering from, in my view, is it's kind of an urban flight type thing. We have a lot of people that move from our community that live in the surrounding areas. And one of the side effects of that is, well, a lot of the complaints I hear is, oh, there's only a few people doing, they're trying to control everything. Well, the reality is, there's only a few people of us left that can understand the scaffolding that's needed for a community. And when we start talking about culture, there's a scaffolding for it. And we lost a lot of those people that normally, or those positions that normally would be part of our community that understand how to get things done. And we have a community, it's, the percentages, it's hard to come up with, but we have a lot of people, a lot of renters, a lot of people in transition. And those people are still our responsibility. And my point is to start understanding what our culture is, because we haven't been tending a culture. We don't get together anymore. I've explained, how the division, but we don't get together anymore. We don't know how to work together. And on the 20th, at 7 o'clock, we're going to try to discuss those. And it's not going to be easy. It's a new vocabulary. We've got to figure out how to do this. Cultures are usually something you don't think much about. But in our community here, it's time for us to understand that, take an inventory of it. And not only that, to hopefully the people that understand that don't live in our community, that work here, you're still part of our community. We still need you other than your professional input. There's much more to community than it's just because you have a job here doesn't mean you're not part of the community. You're part of this community. And hopefully we can get some people to start coming back and understand, help us build this scaffolding that if you have a large part of your population that's in transition, it's really difficult. And you end up with this, a few people doing things. And we can only get so much done. Learning to work together, we can do miracles. But we have to learn how to work together again. We don't know how. Thank you.
Okay, I do have a question, because last night at our Lola meeting, they talked about the point in time counting that's coming up, and I know that you were doing that the last time they talked, so are you still involved?
I haven't been contacted.
I'm part of that.
Okay.
I can still do that, but when it gets time for that, are they scheduled it?
Well, when are we taking-
Okay,
Okay.
Stacy, go right ahead.
Yeah, well, our numbers have decreased.
Microphone.
Our numbers have decreased, and I was looking for the presentation for the advisory board meeting that we had on the 5th. I was on that call. And our numbers, in talking with our chief of police, because that's how it's tracked, we have very few people now. And the discussion was to do a count on a certain day, the 25th, and 26th being the reporting, and to set up a table in a park and kind of ask people to come. But in researching it further, some people are, how I say it, being private, and so we can't provide the names. I need to find out if we're going to provide names or just numbers, but we have about 6 or 7 people in our city now. This changes during the years, and you know this, we see people on the streets, and so what we're going to do is identify how it's going to be reported, and then I'll find that from the mayor from Marika is heading that effort, Mr. Dwayne?
Dwayne Kent.
Yes, and I talked with the chief about it, and he mentioned some of the specifics about the homeless, which, they see people every day, and they know what's going on in the numbers and the people, so that's how we're gonna report it. So that's what's gonna be effective for that.
I got a question on that. The count itself, like last year, the count pertained to people that, we have a lot of homeless people that living in apartment buildings that aren't without power and water and things like that. They're not going to come out to this meeting. Is the count going to be aggressive to go out to these places?
We have certain people, I'm told, that have contact, and maybe you can explain it differently, I can, Chief, that have connections to people that are out there, because some people are going couch surfing, and if they're in a home, we can't actually count that. Is that correct?
So, going back to the first years, the definition has kind of changed based on what you guys have told me. We've had, the population's in constant flux. I would say that we had a dip, it's starting to come back up again. But what you're referring to is, we did have several apartment buildings at one time that were dilapidated and people were in there. That has been stopped. The last time we did the count, we had quite a few that were staying in local motels through a government program. A lot of those must have found somewhere else to go, either another town or actually found permanent housing. We don't have the same numbers. We do have some people out there, but the network that we originally relied upon, where I'd reach out to somebody and then they would come, isn't as strong, I would say. They're not going to come like the original time when we said, hey, this is occurring, come and meet. Those people have either moved on or found other situations. So the networking isn't there, I don't think, to bring people. So it is going to be a little bit difficult.
Okay. My point is, any of these counts are very important. If you get it by numbers.
There's money attached to it.
It's not, I'm not encouraging us to stack the deck or the pack, you make it look more than it is, but it's real important that we do understand that there are a lot of people that are homeless that do fit. I mean, you try to put them in boxes, but the reality is, it doesn't work that way. You know, you have to go, I found that it was very important to make an aggressive count to go out and hunt these people out.
Well, if they're in homes, that's the definition I was given on Monday. If they're in homes, we can't count them. But if they're on a garage floor, we can count them. So that just, it does, like the network, because I know people I could ask, and that's how we're gonna try to get the best number that we can. And there is money attached to it. They mentioned some figure, I wrote it down, but it's not actually correct because, you know, the numbers change. They're still working on, in the homeless piece, for the center in Wairika to be finished, and that has some hiccups, and that's not completed yet. But, and there's housing, all kind of housing elements that are discussed from the state level and to the county level. So the county is still involved in trying to lead the effort, but it changes all. So I'm just the information piece for it. But we would do appropriate count. If you have some suggestions, let me know on the count piece, but.
Do you have you established a small team to go do that? Because in the past, what we have done is tried to get small teams together. I know I was part of one, although I didn't go out. I kind of helped organize. Bob was part of a team.
Yeah, we have.
There was Ray was part of a team.
3 years. We've done it for 3 years, and it was,
Nothing was done last year.
Right.
It was kind of voided out last year.
but it takes a team, you know, to do it. You know, it's not a one-man job, and I just don't think it's gonna be effective waiting for them to come to us. To establish the funding that's gonna be necessary to actually do something. You know,
Yeah.
we're talking about
So there's no
county, it's a
team.
county, not just for weeds.
Somebody
And
give
I
me some
think
names and I'll take some names
they
down.
have decided to do this in January to get kind of a different feel on the account, because I think prior years we've done it in probably spring or fall.
Always January.
No?
Always
Is it in the winter?
January.
It was
Yeah.
Well, the
spring.
winter gives us kind of an unfair account.
We
Well,
thought-
that's why they do it in the winter, because people are where they're gonna be. You start counting in the summertime, they'll move all over the place.
Okay.
They can be counting 6, 8 times.
So to answer your question, I don't have any other people that I just talked with the chief about it, get some perspective on what's out there and what I've seen. So if people want to be a part of it, let me know, okay? And I'll contact you and see what we can do.
Okay.
That's actually all I have.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Thanks,
you.
Stacy.
So last night, I was also at the Lola meeting last night, and these Discover Siskiyou pamphlets were out on all the tables, and I believe this is all done through the Economic Development Council. There, as far as I could tell, there's 3 different ones. And they're all about discovering different parts of the county. So one is family adventure, and one is epic swimming spots, and then one is craft drinks.
Oh, wait,
Did you get a different one?
summits.
Oh,
Summits
okay,
of Siskiyou.
so there were 4 summits. Yes, and on the inside, they have maps of every place in Siskiyou County. And then there's little arrows and then descriptions of where all that is. And so we were reading through it, and I'm like, and one of them, it said something about I'm like, never heard of that. You live here all your life, never heard of the California Heritage Farms, You Pick Berries and Flowers.
Who's that at?
Fort Jones,
Really?
yeah. So,
Nice.
so I learned a few things last night. I kind of see this as a little double-sided, because a lot of the things that are in here, I don't want other people to know where they're at, because I don't want them to be there when I go there. But it is rigging money in our county. And then they talked about, where was the place that, it's in Dunsmuir. We had our Lola meeting there. It's called the
Oh,
Wheelhouse.
the wheelhouse. We didn't have the Lola, we had the Lola meeting next door.
Next door. And so it's all been remodeled, and they have the most
225 different beers?
different types of craft beers,
300.
the most variety in California, I think they said. So maybe make that a destination for you. Yeah. Yeah, on your way home. Yeah. But don't, yeah, stay in Dunsmere though. I should have started off by saying thank you to the rest of the council for entrusting me with this position, and so I hope that I can do the community well. Let's see, okay, so Monday is Martin Luther King Day, so there is no senior lunch happening at the community center. The pool work is finally finished and the indoor pool has reopened and it looks beautiful, so come on over and check it out. And other than that, I think that's all I have. Okay, so next we have a presentation from Pacific Power.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and my name is Todd Andrus. I'm the Regional Business Manager for Pacific Power. I'm located out of Klamath Falls, Oregon. My territory that I serve is from Lakeview all the way to Happy Camp, from Chiloquin all the way down to Altura. So if you kind of think of that box, that's my territory. Yeah, we get in the car a lot. COVID has impacted me tremendously, unfortunately, like everyone else. I was notified that there was some considerations of wanting to look at the overhead to underground process. So I wanted to come here and answer any questions you may have. Now, full disclosure, I also serve on City Council in Klamath Falls. So I understand, I respect your time, and I understand individuals can get up here and kind of go for a long time. I want to make sure I'm serving your time. So I could do a quick A to Z, or I could just go into, if you have questions, I know there was a document that was sent out to all of you, and I could just answer questions tonight. It's really truly up to you.
I think so.
Yeah, okay, I could do a very high level. So there's the Rule 20 is a document that is actually out of the California Public Utility Commission that directs municipalities and utilities on how to, the process of taking overhead lines and put them underground. The process I believe that you're looking at is Rule 20A, which is a process where per all your number of meters in your municipality, the Public Utility Commission has, a lack of a better term, credits for a community to be able to take overhead lines and put them underground. When I say credits, it's not a bank account. There's no cash sitting in a bank account. It is basically a pre-approval from the California Public Utility Commission to allow a municipality to be able to do this if they fit certain criterias. And the criterias are in the documents that I sent you. The process would be that you would contact your utility, saying this is an area that we are looking at putting underground. Out of the criteria of 20A, Rule 20A, this is where we believe we're allowed to do this. So you would have to state that. It would come to us. We would review that and verify that, yeah, we see the same criteria, or no, that really doesn't fit within the criteria to our understanding. And, but if it did fit, then you would have a public hearing to discuss the topic with all the impacted customers in the area that would potentially be underground. What 20A basically does is it takes our distribution system and being able to underground it, as long as you provide us with the right-of-ways to that. We most likely would need additional right-of-ways for the pedestals that would be going into the ground. So that would actually go into individuals' property, and that would have to be established by the city to take that on. And then you are creating a underground district that would not only require the power lines to go in, but all the other connections, telephone, cable, and the such to also be underground at the same time. So there's a notification process to all those type of individuals. And then the last thing is, each individual property owner would be responsible at their expense to connect underground.
That was my question.
Yeah. So that, and that really honestly is probably the biggest barrier for most municipalities when they look at this, is that it's not only that you got this quote credits that we can utilize to do that, assuming again, meeting all the criteria, but then all those property owners would have to, at their expense, hook in to from the property line into their property.
Is that normally $1,000 or $10,000?
It depends. It really depends case on case because of the ground and you're working with your own electrician to do that connection. I would tell you that I think a good rough estimate is between $5,000 and $10,000 per house. A municipality can elect to pay that for them, but that's up to the municipality. All right. But
Can a housing district form an assessment group or a district to pay for that?
So that, I think then you're starting getting into 20B, Rule 20B, which kind of starts to talk about how a municipality can start paying, if it didn't fit into all of 20A, or only a section of it fit into 20A, then you can create those type of districts and self-imposed and to get those things paid, yeah.
But I'm talking just self-imposing the connection from the house to the power line.
Yeah, I mean, yes,
It would still be 20B or
you could choose to
20A.
do that. Like, you could choose to have, I mean, that would be the city's running that. The utility would not be running that. The city would be running that. Hire one electrician to do the entire job. And you could create, when you're creating that utility district, the undergrounding district, you could put that in there. But again, when you create that district, there is the public, public would have to have an opportunity to comment on that. It's a public process.
As far as we don't have the money to pay for it. So in looking at those other options, that's what I was making notes for. What, in your experience, has been effective if they don't have the money, the city does? Because I don't know that anybody has $5,000 or extra $10,000 to do that.
Understood. Honestly, it's the reason why this doesn't happen that often.
Okay.
The last one that I know of that happened actually did happen here. It was after the unfortunate
The fire?
Bowles fire. And I think that was a different certain circumstance that made that much easier to do. But besides that project, there was a period of time, I started that with your last city manager, and then I was moved out of this area. Monty Mendenhall kind of finished that up, so I can't tell you what the end result completely was with that. But that's the only one that I know of that we've done Rule 20 in California since 2014 when I started working for the company.
Thanks for the honest answer. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So a question for you, actually, because I'm looking for our area where I live,
Okay.
just to be straightforward about that. We have about roughly 40 to 50 residential units. We have 1, 2, 3, probably a total of 4 blocks. We felt that 1,200,000 credits would get the underground utility processed.
Right.
But that, in that 1,200,000 that we received, or if we utilize it, does that include any of getting the right-of-ways, or is that separate?
That would be a separate process, I believe.
Okay.
Those funds are strictly to the, and then that's another great example is, so let's say we have a pedestal on the left side of the street, and you have a connection on the right-hand side of the street, and you dig up that roadway to get that connection. Rule 20 money would have to cover it, but the city would have to pay for the resurfacing of that. Rule 20 only allows us to do the electrical side of.
So primarily, is this designed just for new housing districts?
Well,
Because it sounds like it. I mean,
well, I would tell you, it's definitely much easier under a new housing district. And I think that's also when you look at Rule 20B, that
Or
kind of.
20C.
Right, that kind of
20B
gets
has
into, yeah, gets into that.
Basically, then the power company has no responsibility whatsoever if it's a developer. That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah,
It's up to the developer to pay
it's,
for it.
there's certain situations
So
you
I'm trying to
can't
figure out why is PP&L so generous with absolutely nothing? So it's just to be a little,
Yeah, yeah, I mean, you can
Snide
deduct
about
you
that,
can
right?
deduct it depends on the situation, how the development's going, but 20B allows you to like deduct what the potential overhead would have been from the cost, and then and then have the rest of it covered for the undergrounding. So that's a potential there, but traditionally, that's where the municipality is coming and paying for that. Please, go ahead.
I have a related question for Rule 20B and C that I'm reading. So when you talked about the additional parkways, underground activities like the cable or the other things, that would be paid for by the property owners, right?
Well, no, you would look at everything except, so when we would open up the trench, the other utilities would have to be notified and would be able to bring in their utilities at that same time. They have their own rules under the Public Utility Commission that they would be using to do that, excluding cable television. Cable television does not have a rule, and that would be you would look at your franchise agreement with your cable company to see what that would be. So I would encourage you to talk to your attorney on that. And by the way, this
like
document, I
dishes
would
around.
encourage you to talk to your attorney at all times.
He's connected, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Ryan, looks like you got a lot of work. No, I'm just kidding.
The only other two key things, so this is not a fast process, traditionally. We say that, and you'll read it later in the document, let's say you're notifying me today, the earliest would be a 2-year, but more likely towards a 5-year process to get the project done. The reason why, let me explain, is, so under Rule 20A, the investor utility is the one who comes up with the upfront money. Okay, so we have to do a lot of planning. There's a lot of engineering that needs to be done and stuff, and then we have to honestly plan for that investment that we will ultimately get repaid for. But that's not just, we don't have money just sitting around to do it right away. So that's a planning situation. So that's why we say it's about a 2 to 5 year process. The last thing I'll tell you, the California Public Utility Commission, 2022 is the last year that any municipalities will collect the credits. So you will still continue to keep your credits after 2022 for a project, and but you would not be collecting more. Okay, after 2022, under Rule 20, under this Rule 20, a municipality traditionally would be able to borrow 2 years out in advance of what they expected their credits would be. You won't be able to do that today because they are stopping that process. What are they going to backfill that with? I cannot answer you, but it would be under the Public Utility Commission that will be doing that.
So in essence, what I'm hearing, unless you do it now and the rates go to whoever, but it's not going to be the city or the property owners, the expense is not going to be paid by you, what you represent.
No. I'm just saying, I'm saying where the utility would traditionally, every year, you would collect more and more credits
Right.
for potential undergrounding. After this year, there won't be any more credits. So under this program, if you used all your credits, you're not getting more in 23, 24, 25. You could hold on to them and use this program in 2030 if you want to.
My golden cloud was like, oh, they're going to provide this for the ratepayers, part of their just business, but it's not that. The funds are coming through
How are
the
the
city or
credits
the taxpayers,
developed?
right?
I'm sorry?
How are the credits developed?
It's to my understanding, it's your municipality, number of meters that you have in your municipality, and there's a formula that the Public Utility Commission has, and that's how they say, we estimate this is what you can have. And you are able to, which happened under the Bulls Fire, go to other municipalities, other county and stuff, and borrow or be gifted, pay for those type of credits if you choose to. So that is an opportunity, but again, those municipalities will not be getting more credits either.
So they're not gonna give them away.
Well, I don't know, I can't answer that.
So how many credits do we have, Craig?
The county has gifted us $1.2 million credits,
Okay,
and currently we're at,
It's $74,000.
and the project that he's talking about in Angel Valley, Power Company really went out on a limb for us to get that done because it really didn't qualify. And we didn't have to go through that 5-year waiting process. We made a lot of things happen.
Yeah.
well, because
that was
everything was already torn up,
it was
just
a
tear it up a little
disaster.
bit more and fix it.
Exactly.
It makes complete sense. My street is all underground.
Yeah.
So I got the box that somebody else weed eats around, I don't.
Right.
So why are we, no offense, why are we talking about this?
There was a
I
project.
want it to be talked about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he asked for it at
So
the last council
that
meeting.
brings me to the
Okay.
next subject.
He did.
Yeah.
One, I want to discuss Rule 20, because we talked about Rule 20 monies at 1.2 million on what district we could possibly put those in. One of my districts was mine.
Yeah,
One of
I
your
remember.
districts was over in Angel
And
Valley.
the other half at Angel Valley.
Right.
Angel Valley. But it doesn't sound like it's even a feasible project for the city of Weed. It's just pie in the sky. No offense to the power company, but worthless. And why they're taking it away is because it's worthless. So, with that said, it's okay. I'm used to
Well,
this.
I'll accept this. The Public Utility Commission created these rules that we have to follow and you have to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they determined that it was useless for them, okay? So
Well, it's
all
just
we are
has
the
so many
stewards
hoops
of
to
a rule that we
go
have to
through
follow.
that it's not, doesn't seem to be feasible for very many communities unless that community happens to be extremely wealthy.
And that could be what they're changing. They could be looking at new ways to change this. So that's another reason why hesitation in this, to see what the Public Utility Commission comes back with.
And the reason I brought this up
I
is
don't know.
because PP&L came along with these new power poles through my neighborhood.
Yes.
And now my neighborhood is so unsightly, I'm putting my house up for sale, and I don't wanna live next to this stuff.
Yeah.
And you've encroached on my property up to 6 feet into my yard. I'm not sure if that's viable or not. I wanna look at that, because if it's not viable, I have a whole community that's gonna be a little bit upset about that personally. So,
And you're talking about our wildfire mitigation efforts
yes,
that we're doing?
and I'm good with that, but, I would think that your land mitigation efforts would be more where there is a forested area than right next to my neighborhood. Just saying.
Good point.
Where was I driving? Oh, I drove up Stewart Springs Road this morning.
Yeah.
You guys need some poles up there, you know what, if it catches fire up there, you guys do deserve hell.
Well,
They're like-
it's a constant
No, they're
battle that
15 feet off the ground, those power lines.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but my reason I brought it up was because if you're putting in all these poles in my neighborhood, and I wanna look at underground, that's just another strike against me trying to develop an underground because of the expense. Now, not only, I was reading in this, not only do you have to pay for the trenching, you have to also pay to take down all those poles. Well, now there's 2 on every site, so that doubles that effort as well. So, anyway, I wasn't a happy camper. I'm still not a happy camper.
But that can all be used within the Rule $28, so you understand that.
Yes, I understand, but it
Well-
just made it more expensive.
And if we have $73,000 worth of points, that won't repave the road after they dig it up.
No.
That couldn't
And
repave
it
the
couldn't
road.
be repaved.
Well,
It doesn't even
We'd have to
apply.
pay for it.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying,
I
that-
know, but it's not enough to do anything.
Well, and that's where I think, what was indicated to me is that you're working with another municipality to get those credits to be able to do things. That's why I'm understanding.
The 1.2.
1.2 is the county gave those to us, yeah.
The project has to meet what the PUC guidelines are.
Yeah.
And a residential area does not meet PUC guidelines.
And that's, and
I
that's.
think you can. If you come up to my neighborhood and if you wanna look at the view shed,
That, you're right.
this is what you look at. I have a great picture of the mountain, just like if you
Yeah.
can find it.
But it's gotta be where the public's coming to look at those.
I get it.
Yeah.
But I mean,
But also
it's
in one of
hard
these
to.
areas, if it's interfered with
And-
too clustered wiring.
Right, and that's where I was starting out, is where the city would come and write a detailed of why they believe that this project would fit within the Rule 20A. And then we would have to go out and also evaluate and say, we agree, or
Disagree.
potentially not agree with it.
Okay.
I got a
Thanks for explanation. Sorry to get all.
No, it's fine.
I
It's
got a
fine.
question.
I do the same thing.
I do
so.
too. Go ahead, Bob.
I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around the motive behind everything. I can understand as far as longevity goes for the power company, having them underground, you're gonna have a lot less maintenance on it. True?
Different maintenance.
Different maintenance, okay, but to me, it seems to be a lot more permanent, and the storms and things aren't going to affect it nearly what it does. My point is that I'm sure there's an incentive, or the motive is somewhat justified from your point, and we, as far as aesthetics go, I mean, obviously, my street it's horrible, we have all kind of wires, but are there any hardship programs set up, designed to help, or to, help encourage people like, or communities like ours to do this? Complete it.
I guess the only comment I would make to that, because I can't really answer for the Public Utility Commission, my gut feeling is the reason why they're stopping the credit system in 2022 is because they are having those discussions right now, and they haven't come up with what the new plan is. And we don't know what that new plan is until they let us know about it.
Is there any incentive to try to work with them, to encourage them to understand that the term was used, pie in the sky? I think that's,
Yeah.
that's perfect.
I think it would be at the appropriate time when they start to discuss it. I don't even know when they're gonna start discussing this issue.
Because obviously, all communities would like to do this. Most would like to, can we afford to do it? No, no.
And then the other thing, I make sure that you understand is that, once a project is done like this, that, how we recapture is we go to the California Public Utility Commission and we recapture our costs for that, and that is adjusted in the individual's rates.
Go up.
So when you do this project, now, it's spread across all Pacific Power customers in the state of California. But when a community like this comes in and does that, your rates are affected by that ultimately. The money gets paid.
What is the service district considered? Just the city itself, or?
No, you would create that district, but the recapturing of Rural 20 would be the entire, about 44,000 ratepayers.
So Siskiyou County?
And Del Nor and Modoc and little parts of Shasta.
How far south do you go? How far south does
Just,
Canal go?
we just entered Shasta very
Just
little.
past Dunsmere,
So
Yeah.
at the creek.
if something happened that we were the only ones that couldn't do this, we would end up paying for everybody else's?
Or, like I said, or like on the Bowles fire, the entire system paid to help you on that
Right.
situation.
So we need to send out thank you letters to full.
Yep. You start writing them, all the people in Modoc.
And,
Start with that, there's only
and to be
7,000
quite
people.
honest, it's the reason why we check to make sure that everything is followed correctly, because we want to also protect all of our other customers throughout the system. So, it's just not something that we say, oh, hell, that's.
So
heck, let's
our
just do it.
our customers here in Weed, we should be aware that if these other communities do it, our rates are gonna increase if they choose to do this.
The cost would be recaptured in a rate case, and that would be correct. Right. Now, it would be amortized over the life of the investment, so you're looking at a 30-year.
Mortgage.
Yeah, so if you're
Go
1.2,
solar and pay PP&L nothing.
What's that?
You could go solar and pay PP&L nothing.
Yes, well,
Or live
that's
where I live,
another,
where I don't have any sun.
that's another hardship story.
Yes. So, thank you for your time.
Yeah,
thank you, and,
It's interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
There's so many variants to do one project.
yeah, and again, this is just the guidelines from the Public Utility Commission that we follow and municipalities follow.
Geniuses in Sacramento are making it up.
We'd get $1,200,000 worth of credits.
Oh, sorry.
We have to
County does.
spend or create an assessment district just for our local community, not just my community, all of our community,
No.
and then increase rates.
It costs
Yeah, yeah.
going in and coming out.
So, and let
I'm
me.
not sure that's such a swinging deal.
Yeah, and let me make sure that under 20A, it gets amortized through the entire system. When you start doing 20B, 20C, then you're looking at only that area that's impacted.
By the way, we respect the messenger, nothing personal.
Thank you.
You did a good job,
You
thank
guys
you.
have a great night, okay?
Wait, Todd, I have a question
Yeah,
for you.
please, please.
Press than it does in reality, but it's good press.
Yeah.
So I asked Public Works this the other day, and they said, ask Todd when he's there.
Yeah.
Your neighborhood, where the new poles are, some of it was in the park, are the old poles coming out that still have the telephone and cable and everybody else on them? Or now we have two poles everywhere?
So we would have to look at what the ownership of those poles are. I would have to look at that because it could have been, I would have to look into that and get you an answer, okay? Because if the cable company is the one who owns that and we were doing a joint use with them and we paid them rent to be able to be on theirs, and then we put our own poles in there for fire
I
resistance.
think it's the other way around. I think they're all your
Ours?
poles.
Okay.
And, yeah, so the new poles now are right next to the old poles.
So we could be waiting for those other utilities to do their job, put it onto our new poles, and then that all would be going out. But I'll verify, I'll talk to, we have one person that is doing all the wildland mitigation efforts on hardening our system, and I'll verify with him, and I can get back with Tim on that.
Okay.
But why are they in the metropolitan area? I get it's on the special hazard interface area. But why aren't they running down College Avenue where that interface area is a little bit more touchy?
So you're talking about the new poles and such, they could be coming, first of all. I would tell you that on pacificpower.net, there are, under the wildfire mitigation, there are zones. And we are taking the higher risk zones first, and then we're working our way out of those areas. The state designate them as tier 3, tier 2, and tier 1. And we are planning right now everything in tier 3 and then going into tier 2. And I think that's unfortunately most of Siskiyou County, honestly.
What's tier 3? Is that metropolitan?
No, tier 3 would be a higher hazard. So it could be higher fuel loads there, it could be higher winds, traditional winds coming through there, humidity issues.
I think our whole town doesn't matter if you live in my neighborhood or your neighborhood, it's all
Tier 3.
bad. Well, not me, but-
We've got the wind, yeah.
right, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Todd.
Are you driving
Drive
home?
safe.
I am driving home.
Yes.
Okay, be safe.
Thanks.
Okay, alrighty.
Thank you for indulging me. I appreciate that. Sorry to waste all the council's time.
No, I think it's great information.
You know, yeah, that was good information.
I'll add, Councilmember Palfini, I've seen one or two of these projects go forward, and they are typically in a core downtown area where they're really trying to beautify a street that has been cluttered by
Power poles.
Power poles, exactly. So that is the most common place really the only place that I've seen them successfully applied. And not in.
We have it downtown.
Yeah.
We're underground most of downtown, isn't it? On the main street.
Yeah, because it's back in the alley, a lot of that's back in the alley, but yeah, not too bad. The boulevard would be a good one, and we tried one up there, we did a little bit of an underground district by Ray's. But that would be good to get the boulevard underground.
Street did them all.
You got Caltrans, you got everybody else, it's a nightmare.
I think mine was done when the neighborhood was put in, right?
Correct. All
Yeah.
new neighborhoods now are new
Have it.
subdivisions.
Is that project in 2028 on the boulevard, are they gonna bury those lines?
The Caltrans project?
Yeah, no?
I don't think it's planned for that. I've got a meeting with them next month sometime, or this month sometime.
No, remember, but you went that day, yeah. Well, they should,
More pedestrian.
you're gonna tear it all up, might as well do that. Let me call them, tell them that.
Yeah.
I'll let you know
Okay.
when the meeting is.
Are we ready to move on to the consent agenda?
Yes. I would like to have D, Public Works, tabled, that item.
All right,
And
motion.
Can, Councilmember Tavalero, to clarify, tabled, do you mean continued
to next month.
next month? Great.
Is that not the same word?
Do we, well, it can be indefinitely. Okay.
Persnickety.
I have a friendly addendum to that on the consent agenda for item E for minutes, just for corrections. Can that be taken out for just that
Well,
purpose?
let us,
I was told to announce
we
it that
gotta
way.
get a
Nope.
second on hers
Nope.
No,
first.
yeah.
Or you
Nope,
can do it
it's
all
one-
at
just
once?
one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
do
He
them
does
at the
his.
same time.
Okay. All right, so D and E,
Councilmember Green, can you clarify or sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Green, the change to E that you were requesting?
Yeah, what I was told to say was that there were certain details of date of names in the minutes that were in the approval process, and that's just the only change that I have.
so the names were incorrect. All
Okay.
right, do we have a second?
No, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the modifications.
Sorry, I'm sorry to keep interrupting you. With the modifications and with your tabling of
That's one of
D.
the modifications.
Oh, I thought you meant his modifications. Okay.
His
And you
modifications,
told me
my
friendly
modification.
Now I'm getting in my
I
head.
really like you.
Okay, do we have a second? Bob, second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carried.
I was gonna oppose it, but I decided to abstain here.
Ryan, be nice to me, it's my first night. Okay. So now are we gonna approve the consent agenda with, or we did that
We did
with
it.
all those
Yep, we
missing?
didn't remove
Okay, so we don't have to go through them one by one now, right? Correct. Okay, so items removed from consent agenda?
We didn't remove anything.
Yeah,
Nope, we didn't
Okay.
remove anything.
all right.
Skipping.
Council business? Public Works? Item A, Public Works?
Bucket truck, Public Works is requesting a used bucket truck.
Yes, I did see the picture. Well, this has been one of my pet peeves for a while, so, or pet projects, I guess I should say. Okay. Is, anything else you want to tell us about?
You see the information, the one we're looking at is 32,000, the other ones range from 44 to 177. We'd like permission to move forward with the purchase.
I think it's beautiful. Don't put my phone number on the side. And I make a motion to approve the purchase of a bucket truck.
And you might want to ask if there's any public comment too.
Oh, do we have any public comment on
Either
the
of you care
purchase?
about the bucket truck?
Bucket truck?
No public comment, I'll second the motion.
They're already making lists of what they need done with it. Yes. Okay, Stacy, second.
Excuse me, Mayor. If there was any, did we already inspect the unit? The bucket truck?
Yes.
Yes, it's been certified too for these type of operations too. That's the most important
The
to
most
it.
you can get?
Yeah.
Will we let people borrow it? Not me, not Ryan, not me. I know that's what you were thinking.
We would have to address that on a case-by-case basis.
Okay,
so,
thank you.
But probably not.
Cause it'll be very pretty and people might want it.
That's out.
Well, we always were looking for somebody else's, so we have to remember that, remember?
Right.
You know,
Put our-
it will come with a cost, of course.
There it is.
All right, so Sue made a motion. Did we have a second?
I'll second the purchase.
Oh, Stacy seconded. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Rate study, ad hoc committee, back to you, Craig.
Okay, this is our rate study that we need to complete after the 5 years that we just had. And right now, we're looking for a committee and to get some dates and time started so we can get this done and we can get the 218 process done before our budget comes out in July, before the new rates.
Okay, so I am on that committee, and I know one other, and Bob volunteered to be the other council member on the committee.
And then Sue Stone, who did it with you 2 years ago? Three, how many years ago was it?
5.
5 years ago? I think she would be interested, needs to know the dates and times like anybody else.
Yeah,
And I will ask her.
okay,
Okay.
thank you.
And then we also had some business owners last time, didn't we? Is that still the case, or were they just public that they were representing?
No, we also did have Margaret Dean with us last time, which was, had good input into it. We're thinking now, maybe we don't need 3 people from the public.
Okay.
Just because we've gone through this once. But if there is another interested party, I don't have a problem including someone like that, if you have suggestions.
David, who was the
Dave Herron,
Heron?
Could you spell that last name?
Herrins. No, Herron, no S.
No S.
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion to approve this ad hoc committee?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carried. Ordinance 466-2022. Back to you again.
Okay, this is the ordinance that the county and the solid waste committee is asking that we adopt this ordinance so the county can apply for the grants and also go through the steps. We don't have to do it individually to enforce AB.
SB 1383.
Yeah, for that Senate bill. And we are a rural county, and our numbers are such that the county is allowed to do that for us, and they are in charge of the landfills ultimately.
Okay, and this is something that probably all the cities in the county are gonna do and let the county take care of it, or,
Correct. And so far, everyone's in agreement.
Oh, good,
okay,
because it was a little bit of a discussion last night.
right.
Most of the members in attendance, wasn't it? Was there approval?
I'm not sure.
I think there was, yeah,
There was.
yeah, I think so.
Okay,
Okay, so you guys have your cheat sheets for an ordinance?
I can make a motion, there's no public comment or anything?
Public comment on this ordinance?
no?
So you want, I can read it. I move the adoption of resolution number 466.
Introduction and first reading ordinance.
Oh, okay, that's the first meeting. I move to introduce and hold that first meeting by title only of ordinance number 466-2022.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All
I'll
right,
abstain.
motion carried.
Why, you like to
Abstain, Paul?
No,
Paul.
that's
Who are
different
you,
reason.
Ken?
One abstain.
Okay. You get that, Sandy? Okay. TOT taxes. We have public comment now. Do you want to go first, Tim? Or no?
I mean, we talked about this at the pre-council tonight. We have Richard with the Chamber of Commerce who's here to ask for some gap funding. Again, this is only going to happen this year because we're going to start moving forward and awarding the TOT funding in the fiscal years. So, and he's here tonight to explain his request for the gap funding.
Good evening, City Council. Richard Dingus with the Weed Chamber of Commerce. We're requesting the gap funding this year, basically because we've had a shortfall. About 3 years ago, when our budget was right around 89,000. Last year, it dropped to 76. This year, it's 56. So we've lost a lot of money because we haven't had our events, and our events have really been one of the stablemates for us to keep us going. And the city is the other one. That without city funding, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And I think that it's very important that we continue to stay open. So that's why we're requesting this particular quarter. And I know that there are 2 quarters of gap funding, and it was a little confusing on the application because we thought it might be funded by the end of January and then again in April, right before your June meeting. So we're requesting funding for the end of this month, for the 3 months that we really need to stay open and keep the visitor center running.
Just one question, Mr. Mayor. So it's not pursuant to any events, which was on the information that we were given. It's not pursuant to events. It's about just keeping the center open.
Yes,
Is that correct? Okay.
it's about keeping the center open.
And while the center is open, you're planning those events?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess my question is, his or is it a misunderstanding, or are we doing 2 different gap?
There's a Q1 and a Q2.
Okay.
We don't fund until, you don't award until June, and if the funding starts in July.
And this
Okay,
is-
so what's this April that he thinks?
I don't know.
Is it, okay,
I would say that he is requesting funding for this first quarter one,
They
January.
have Q1 circled on their application, but they wrote June down.
Right, and I think that needs to be corrected
That needs to be corrected
to January.
January, okay.
So if we wouldn't mind correcting that. And both of those requests are for January.
That's correct.
He'll be, it was the way I understood it, I did have a brief conversation with Richard, is that they'll be back in April.
April?
Or
That's
March, or whatever the
Right.
next thing is. With the third, because when we
Yeah.
talked about adjusting it
Yeah.
to fiscal, we talked about what happens to those agencies that are dependent upon
Right,
when we don't have anything.
Because they've gone 18 months versus
Yeah.
the 12.
Yeah.
so but I still have the same question. So we're giving gap, we're here in January, and if we approve this gap funding, are they able to come back and ask for more gap funding, or do they need to ask for all of it now?
They'll come back.
They can come back.
Yeah,
Okay.
and probably March to ask for this, or April, I guess, to ask for the second quarter.
Okay, all right,
My last question.
I'm good.
And the amount's not here. Do we need to know the amount or just as within the budget?
It's on,
Yeah,
it's
it's
on,
on there.
it's on the sheet.
8,000 total.
It's 8,000 total.
Oh, I didn't see it on the memo. I'm sorry.
No, it's at the bottom of that request form.
He's got a 6,000 and a 2,000.
Correct.
I'm sorry. Thank you for it. I do see it now. Thank you.
So it's a request for a total of 8,000.
Okay,
I make a motion to approve unless there's more discussion.
I'll second it.
moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carried. Thank you, Richard. Public safety, council will consider request for stop sign at the intersection of Alamo and Railroad Avenue and give direction to staff.
We've received a request at the last council meeting to place this on the agenda for the installation of a stop sign at the north end of Alamo Avenue as it intersects with the south end of Railroad. It's a 3 inlet-outlet intersection that leads out onto US Route 97 as well. The anticipated cost would be the installation, maintenance, and time of Public Works to maintain that, both in striping and in any subsequent somebody struck the stop sign or something like that and had to be replaced.
And we have a flashing stop sign, correct?
Are we going to use one of the flashing stop signs?
I think it would be a good idea in the beginning, at least.
Yeah. If you vote tonight that we need one there, then we will try to get one there after our stoplights get.
Perfect. Okay.
I'd ask about the stoplights, but Ryan won't let me.
This Ryan, he's like me?
Stand on the agenda.
Okay.
It's gonna be, it's
Can
off
I,
subject.
can I entertain a motion for the stop sign?
Don't forget to ask for public comment.
Do you have any
Do you have
public
a
comment on that stop sign?
He doesn't stop at it
He
anyway.
barreled through that thing at 30 miles an hour the other day, told me that. He said, oh, there needs to be a stop sign there.
Yeah, okay.
He didn't run the stop sign.
Any public, okay. And-
I run stop signs.
I make a motion to approve the installation of the stop sign.
I will second that.
Right,
Direct staff to make it happen.
it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. We're on to staff reports. Justin?
I have nothing at this time. We do, but she's in training and based on things, we'll just let her train and then we'll, discuss that another time.
Okay.
Okay. Craig?
I have got, 2 quick reports. Vista Drive's at 90%. We're trying to get things buttoned up out there and it's gonna happen pretty soon. And number 2, we are going to be going out to bid for Lincoln Avenue, a street project. And a bid should be coming back for council approval in April.
Well, I reported last night that you were 95% at Vista, so you better.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
So that Lincoln, that's gonna be 97 to 97.
Yes.
So it's gonna cover all 4 roads that are the same road.
Lincoln, Broadway, Angel Valley, and
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
Union.
I'm very excited about that.
Okay. Chris? Nothing?
Nope.
Okay. Brian?
I believe you got the report that Chief Duncan sent earlier to Sandy. Yeah, it was just, that was over last year, so we ran a total of 792 incidents last year, which is a little over 100 more than the previous year. Our total training hours for last year was 1,165 hours. Their activities that we completed were hydrant testing, plan reviews.
Brian, can you turn your microphone on? Oh, sorry. Thank you.
The other activities and duties that we completed were hydrant testing, plan reviews, and fuel mitigation projects. And we attended the car show and assisted with the Santa sleigh.
I would like to thank the fire department for stepping in and helping us deliver all of the Giving Tree packages, because our senior van was involved in an accident and was out of commission, and the fire department stepped up and delivered all those gifts for us, and we really, really appreciate it. And I know the people who received the gifts, I'm sure appreciated it too. So thank you. Sandy?
No report.
Tim?
Yes, I have some very good news to report tonight. As you know, we've been searching for a new finance director over the past couple of months, conducted multiple interviews, narrowed it down, and got a finalist who showed up here, I think it was January 3rd, when we had like 70-mile-an-hour wind and
That was a perfect day. You want to know what it's like?
yeah, we told him as part of a hazing ritual that we like to do here. And, but yeah, he's from LA, so that's why I kind of like was saying, and the poor guy got stuck between, I think, here and Reading for his final interview the week before. So he was a trooper and he came back, and I'm pleased to announce that starting on January the 24th, we have a new finance director. We've gone through the background and everything. It's Diego Ibanez, and he and his wife will be relocating from the LA area. They're tired of living in LA and want to come where it's a little bit, not as much traffic, let's just put it that way. And we're excited to have them. I visited with our former finance director, Emily, last night at the Lola meeting, and she is very, very excited. And she will be helping Diego get acclimated with Cassell and getting him up to speed on where we are, because we're still in the beginning stages of our audit. And so we got to get a lot of stuff done. And so anyway, we're very excited about that. So I'm really happy about it because that's a very key position, as we all know. Our employees like to get paid as well as our vendors, and so that's important for us. Chief didn't mention it, Mayberry, but we're still actively recruiting in PD. So if you know folks that are interested in careers in law enforcement, we're still down some positions, and we'd love to have them come apply. It's a pretty rigorous process as well to get them lined up and stuff, but we'd like to do that as well. And finally, just tell everybody, I've been working a lot over the last couple of weeks, myself and our grant writer, Anna Cleland, who I met her father, Rennie, last night. I leaned over and said, "Hey, do you know Anna?" And he goes, "That's my daughter." So anyway, she's been a trooper. She just had a baby like a month ago, and she's doing these Zoom calls with a little infant. But it's been working great. So we'll be turning in it's going to be, the title of the grant is the South Weed Travelers Dog Park. So, and the purpose of it is to pull travelers off of the interstate. We've got it set up to where we have some land across the street from where the proposed dog park will be, where we can allow parking along with hopefully some EV stations there as well. And at that one, and like I said, a good draw. Charge up your EV, let Fido go have his business, and go to Starbucks and McDonald's and everything else. So that's what the purpose of it is. So that's what we're trying to.
We're looking for that big Tesla crowd, huh?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So if you can afford Tesla, you can afford a cup of Starbucks, maybe. So and a dog. So anyway, that's all I have to report tonight. Thank you.
Did you announce last month about the new employee in the business office? Did we? You have a new?
Mary Mazzoni? Yeah, she's transferred over.
I can't remember if we talked about it or not.
I think we did, yeah.
Okay.
She transferred over from dispatch to the business office, handling our utility billing.
Great. Ryan?
Nothing to report.
Okay.
I would like to make a quick announcement. I'd like well wishes out to Steve's, our fire chief's son, and Mr. Langford, who does not seem to be doing well, and our wishes out to them.
All right, Bob, you want to take it away?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second it?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And we are adjourned.
Easy on that hammer, man. Gee.
Jim, you did a great